Hey y'all, I'm Emily.
And I'm Sierra. Today we're going to share our tips for how to run your first session in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.
To start, you'll want to go around and have each player introduce their character to the group. Most of the time, this is an out-of-game conversation, but it can also be in-game.
Essentially, each player will share their character's name, fantasy race, class, and general description. If you're playing with an experienced group, it can be fun to have them share what weapons they are carrying instead of what class they are. It can be interesting for the players to discover what class each other is playing as throughout the game.
After character introductions, as a dungeon master, you'll want to set the scene. Are they in the local tavern sharing a couple drinks? At a local festival playing carnival games? Sailing the high seas hunting for monsters? Describing the location of the characters helps to immerse your players into the world right from the get-go.
You'll also want to give each player a connection in-game to another player. This can be done beforehand in Session 0 or at a different time before your first game. Another great option you can do is to have your players at the start of the game pull from a hat showing how they are connected to the player on their right. For example, if they've all been on the same boat, they could have taken guard duty, swapped the deck, or played around a dragon chest together.
Additionally, after character introductions, you could just let your group chat in-game together as their characters for a short bit to let them get to know each other in-game. While this is a pretty easy play, it's always best to have the party make their characters connected beforehand.
In my first game, I set the scene by telling the party they had all been traveling in a caravan together for about a week. Now the characters had no connection to each other that they knew of beforehand, so I had each player draw from the hat on how their characters were connected to the player's character on their right.
My character won a 3-legged race with another PC due to this method. It was definitely a conversation starter.
I gave the players a little bit of time to talk and work out together how this interaction went or what secrets they shared, and then I described how it was midday when the caravan was attacked by bandits.
Which leads right into the next step, the inciting incident. An inciting incident is essentially a problem that the party has to face that brings them directly into the story.
This can be their ship being attacked by a sea monster, a dragon visiting the local festival, or a townsperson running into the tavern and collapsing on the ground with an arrow in their back.
Oh dang! Whatever the situation, you want to make sure that this inciting incident gets your players moving. You want to have them interact or deal with it. Whether that's fighting the sea monster, investigating the dragon, or rushing to defend the tavern.
This inciting incident should give a clue or a clear direction on what your players should be doing and where they go next. The inciting incident should be the hook your players follow for the bigger plot that turns your Session 1 into a successful campaign.
Going forward, make sure to have every adventurer hide clues that lead to the next step in your story, so the party always knows where they need to go.
This does not mean you should railroad your players. Railroading means you force your players to follow your plot or a certain course of action. This is never fun for your players.
If you want to make sure your players will follow the plot line you've written without railroading them, then make sure to heavily connect the plot to each of their backstories and seed bits of that through every encounter. Players always want to follow their backstory and uncover the secrets they don't know about.
You can learn tips on how to connect your player's backstory to your plot in our video linked above.
You've got this! Session 1 is fun and exciting, and don't worry if you slip up or make a mistake. Just pretend like you planned it all along and your players will believe you are a mastermind.
I know Emily is.
Totally! Thank you so much for joining us today. Put in the comments below the D&D questions you want answered.
And we'll see you next time.
Subscribe, hit that bell icon, like the video.
Join us. It's going to be great.